The eye of imagination. The tattoo you just saw is actually on my forearm, and I had that tattoo made about 3 years ago on the island of Bali. That image of the eye is actually representative of the eye of God. It's a constant reminder to me to use my imagination and see things through the eye of God, through the eye of imagination, through awakened imagination of what I want to see, what I want to hear, how I want my life to be, and imagining it true. The eye of imagination is seeing with the eye of God. It's seeing with the mind's eye rather than with the eye, the physical eye of the senses, okay? It's bringing it into reality through imagination, seeing things the way you want to see them. That's what I'm going to help you understand, and you're going to be amazed with one of the stories I'm going to share with you, a true story, and how I've applied this in my own life and how you can begin to apply it today. Ready? Let's get started. This is Robert Meade, and I'm coming to you from my beautiful beach here in the Philippines. This is a life that I imagined looking through the eye of God in my imagination, and I manifested the life that I currently have, living on the beach, having a magnificent life here in Southeast Asia. I want to speak to you about using the eye of God. Extremely important. It's all tied to the use of your magnificent imagination. I'm going to make references here to the book, The Law and the Promise. From chapter 9, this book by Neville is absolutely amazing, the entire book, filled with true stories of how various individuals, normal people like you and I, use the eye of God, use the power of their imagination to realize their dreams. Neville made a very powerful point here, that the difference between using the eye of God and thinking from it versus thinking of it or thinking of what you'd like to manifest in your life. Notice this point. Neville says there's a wide difference between thinking of the image and thinking from the image. Let me say that one more time. There's a wide difference between thinking of it and thinking from it. Thinking of it is a confession that you are not in it. Think about that. Thinking from it is proof that you are in it. So instead of watching yourself on a movie screen or seeing yourself in your new car or visualizing your life where you'd like to be and the type of life and partner and wealth, abundance, health, everything that you're imagining, instead of just imagining that and seeing it, you want to enter it. In fact, this chapter is called Enter Into, because you need to think from it. So you're not watching a movie of yourself in the movie being successful. You're the star of the movie. You're in it. Feel the difference? We've talked about this before. Driving a car, driving your new car. You wouldn't see yourself in the new car, for example. You would see the tops of your hand on the steering wheel, and you would be looking out the window, seated in that car, smelling the leather, hearing the stereo, maybe feeling the breeze if you have the window rolled down, or the heater or the air conditioner, right? And maybe your companion sitting next to you, but you'd see it from your eyes with them and the scene out in front of you because you'd be in it. Feel the difference? So seeing with the eye of God, seeing with the power of your imagination is really the ability to practice the art of imagining something and then sensing it vividly with your imaginal senses. Your imaginal sense of sight, sound, hearing, taste, touch, right? Not what you were actually experiencing in your current world, which could be vastly different from what you want to imagine true. Does that make sense so far? You're with me? Let me know in the comments if you're understanding this, all right? So I'm going to give you an example here. There's so many beautiful stories, but this is a rather heart-touching story because this is concerning a young man who was very sick and actually near death and had a miraculous recovery because actually someone else saw him healthy and visualized through using her power of seeing with the eye of God, this man being healthy. So, I'll read you the following. Follow along, please. She says, it was realized that my brother was in the hospital and he was in pain and near probable death. For he was facing a fourth major operation while with little hope of recovery. I was very concerned and attempting to use what I had learned about my imagination. I first asked myself what my brother truly desired. So she asked herself, my brother were healthy, what would he truly desire being instead of near death in the hospital bed? She asked herself, does he want to continue in this body or does he desire to be free of it? She goes on, the question revolved itself over and over in my mind. And suddenly she says, I felt that he would like to continue remodeling his kitchen, because that's what he was doing before he was sick. Continue remodeling his kitchen, which he'd been contemplating before his confinement in the hospital. I knew my question had been answered. So the question, self-question she gave herself was answered with, yes, of course. He'd like to be alive, healthy, and completing the remodeling of his kitchen. She says, so I began to imagine from that point. So she imagined that he was already healthy and completing the remodeling of his kitchen. That implied that he was already healthy, that he was no longer sick. She says that attempting to see, right, the eye of God, to see my brother in the busy activity of remodeling, I suddenly found myself gripping the back of my kitchen chair, as I used many times when something happened. She says, then suddenly I found myself standing beside my brother's bed in the hospital. Now, this is all in her imagination. She's not actually standing with her brother in the hospital. She's imagining it. Further, this is what she imagined. This was the last place I would have wanted to be, she says, physically or mentally. But there I was, and my brother's hand reached up and clasped mine tightly as I heard him say, I knew you would come, Joe. It was a whale hand I clasped, strong and sure, and the joy that filled and spilled over in my voice as I heard myself, it's all better now. So in her imagination, he was holding her hand, right? And his grip was as if a healthy hand, and there was joy that spilled over in his voice and in her voice as they exchanged this loving exchange in the hospital. And she heard herself say, it's all better now. So that's what she imagined. Now, what was the result? Well, the result was the following day, his wife telephoned me saying, it's unbelievable. The doctor can't account for it, Joe, but no operation is necessary. He's so improved that they had agreed to release him tomorrow. The following Monday, my brother went back to work and has been perfectly well since. So she did all of this through the power of her imagination, imagining her brother already healthy. You too can learn to use the power of your imagination and the eye of God and imagine what you'd like to see actually happen in your life using all your five senses to vividly imagine yourself entering the image or the result that you seek, imagining in detail what it would look like, what it would feel like, what you would hear, what you might see, what you might even taste and smell were it already true. And we've talked about this before. In using the eye of God, you need to actually see it as already true. You need to see it already done. It's not something that's just coming. It's not something that you just hope and wish will be true, but it's called your wished ed, your wished past tense, your wish fulfilled, fulfilled, not going to be fulfilled, but fulfilled, and you see it as already done. And that is using the power of imagination. So what do we conclude by this? As Neville states in chapter 8, Through the Looking Glass, in that same book, the law and the promise, right? This is chapter 8. He says, man is all imagination. Therefore, a man or a woman must be aware of where he or she is in imagination. For in his imagination is himself. Imagination is active at and through any state it is aware. If we take shifting of awareness seriously, there are possibilities beyond belief. So the story I gave you of somebody being healed so quickly might seem to you to be a story beyond belief. But these things have happened, and they are happening for those applying this information now, right? Amazing things can happen in your life, not only concerning health, but concerning your life, concerning your abundance, concerning your desires, the outcomes that you want to seek in your life, concerning finding a beautiful partner, as I have in my life here in the Philippines, right? She's my videographer, in fact, behind the camera. So having a life like this, or a life you choose wherever you live, is absolutely possible. But as Neville states here, you enter any state through what you are aware of. You become aware of it through your imagination. And this truly is the power of imagination and learning to use the eye of God. I invite you to go to my description, click the links I'm going to leave for you, because I'm just giving you really a teaser, because on my site, I give you all the tools you need to learn to develop your imagination and actually utilize it to create the life that you, my friends, desire. Thanks for watching.